Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Tonight I'm going to share with you a long clip that involves myself and Jim Morgan talking about validator nodes for Splinterlands. And actually, Tales from the Cryptomancer is commenting in the chat, which is helping direct our conversation. And we get a special guest, R0nd0n, pops in to actually voice with us, explaining some of the, filling in some of the blanks and setting us straight on some of the issues that we were kind of confused over. So it's an amazing conversation with another deep dive on validator nodes. And this is going to be game changing for this amazing blockchain game we love, Splinterlands. So you guys want to know this information. Stick around, stay tuned. Like and subscribe. Have an amazing day. God bless. Yeah, man, it's what an amazing hobby. And I was thinking more about the validator thing, and I don't want to rehash the whole conversation we had yesterday. If you guys want to see that, guys, you can, first of all, if you want to become a member on my YouTube channel, you can, and then you can be participant in the Thursday Night Lives where often Jim and I or myself and the members will talk. It's members only. And so we talk about whatever topic comes up. And yesterday we got into validators. That I then clipped it and put it onto my public channel. So if you want to see that, there's a 30-minute conversation between me and Jim talking about validators and how important that is for this game and where that's going to, what that could do for our space. It's another revenue. How could that appreciate? What sort of revenue, what's that revenue going to look like as vouchers get more expensive, as SPS gets more expensive? How meaningful might those ongoing, and for something like $2,000 to buy a validator, it sounds to me like a deal. And I was thinking more about it today, Jim. And I just think, first of all, I think Bulldog's right. It's gonna, the first 2,000 are gonna sell out really fast. And I was listening to Bulldog this morning talk about it, watched his video on it, and they're gonna sell.
Yeah. Very fast.
Any chance we're gonna get one, you think?
I think I am gonna pick one up. The only thing I don't like is that, you know, we're gonna be waiting around with it for like 5-6 months essentially.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I don't really like.
Oh, cool. Tales from the Cryptomancer says, Dwayne, VPS server pricing. So VPS, this is the, I don't know what that VPS means, but I don't know what the acronym stands for, but I understand it to mean like the servers you would rent, the server you would rent to run this, the validator node. The sample pricing is above in chat from your most recent videos questions.
Yeah, we kind of lost it.
And while he's doing that, approximate cost for an 8V CPU virtual private server via service like Contabo is $19.99 a month. So 8 CPU, I guess. And then let's see. So for an ROI estimate on nodes, you could use something like $240 a year. That's the cost, $20 a month equals $240 a year US as an estimate for now. And that would likely be reasonable. That's really great to know, dude. Thank you. And
you should be able to cut that cost by sharing it with like a few people, I think.
You also should be able to cut the cost by, I think when you buy these servers on a yearly basis, there's usually discounts.
Right.
So there might be, and then what were we, I forget the numbers. Like, here's the thing, before we talk about any more of that number, as far as I'm concerned, the nodes are exciting not because of their short-term income potential, generating potential. It's because of what you talked about yesterday, Jim, the price appreciation on the node itself, and the fact that as SPS and vouchers appreciate, which I believe they will, that the income generated from operating the node will grow with you. And so at some point, I really believe, just because of the inflation that will come to the expected inflation I am projecting upon SPS and vouchers and the nodes, it's like, I think it makes a lot of sense, regardless of whether it is profitable in the first year or 2 years. And I do think, based on what he's saying here and what we talked about yesterday, it would be profitable. Were we not saying it was like 10 vouchers was it 10 vouchers a day?
Yeah, so from, if there was only 2,000 being run, which we also need to consider that not all of them will be ran. I'm sure some people will have them and not even use them.
That's two different and really good points, Jim. So you're saying the 2000 will likely be sold, but then not all the 2000 will actually be run.
Yeah.
And then you made this. There was one more little point there that you kind of implied that it could be more than 2000. You said that's based on 2000.
But it's probably going to be more by the time we're able to use them.
Yeah.
Because the pre-sale is 2000.
Yeah.
Then that next wave is what, like 3000 or something like that? I forget the number.
Yeah.
So then we could have more on top of that when we're actually able to use it. Or it could be, all right, well, everyone who had it in pre-sale, now you guys can utilize it for like a week or 2 weeks or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And then they release the extra ones.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's interesting because there's both the possibility that like a much larger number than 2000 will be active because more units could be sold outside of the pre-sale. After the pre-sale, the next tranche could sell, and then how many of those get put on actually activated. But then your first point, we didn't talk about that yesterday. It's not all of them are going to go active, and that will affect the revenue generating potential that you would have as an active node operator. And go ahead.
I was going to say, Cryptomancer is also talking about how you're able to stack them in a single VPS, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So then we would be able to stack them up or pool together, X amount of people.
Yeah, that's awesome. And he said, Aggie mentioned in the MAV chat, likely a CPU VPS would be sufficient. So he's saying, like, they're not going to be overly demanding to run these nodes from a technical perspective, and therefore, multiples can be run on one. The article implies, Cryptomancer says, the article implies that the only thing a node license does is basically ping the validators every so often to confirm they are online and eligible for rewards. Wow, that's cool. And gives them the opportunity to be one of the validators as opposed to being voted in. You're like, essentially, you're in, you just need to run it. And as opposed to being voted in.
Whiskey, it does say that it wouldn't be increasing rewards exponentially. It would be a flat percentage because it's based upon, well, unless you're like voted in to be in like the top 50 or whatever, it is flat amount distributed evenly.
Distributed evenly amongst those who are active, correct?
Yeah, that have been using it for the whole month.
Yeah. Yeah, this is gigantic. This is a really, really big deal. Yeah, R0nd0n says, I'm sure they're going to want to incentivize spreading out these nodes because that's the whole point, decentralization. And I agree, that's a desire, but at the same time, they're selling a certain number of these licenses, and those are just going to go to whoever's got money and desire, I guess. So regardless of whether there's a heart for decentralization, of course there's a heart for decentralization, but that's kind of, and that's why I think they've done a good job with, they said they're going to give an extra to the top 50 validators that are, I guess, chosen, voted by us. They're going to receive that bonus. So there's this effort to incentivize decentralization, but there's also this kind of market opportunity where, hey, we're willing to liquidate certain number of these opportunities to people who recognize what this game is. I love that.
Also, Alec is just clarifying that he's saying, so if, say, like me and you both had a node, you were running yours on a server, and I didn't put mine in there, well, then you would actually get, or someone else didn't put theirs on, right? then you would be getting more because, well, now it's not 2,000, it's 1,999
Mm,
or whatever.
mm.
Which, Alec, that's exactly what I was saying previously. It could be 2,000 being ran, but we are also assuming that some of these people will not be using them to run.
Ron wants to pop on for a minute here to probably
Sure.
clear some of this for sure. Yeah, maybe Ron can, and Cryptomatt says maybe Ron can clarify and bring us some alpha on the technical details Matt is planning. That'd be huge. Yeah, come on, dude. Hello?
You there? Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
You got it.
Hey, listen, I don't want you to feel obliged when I asked if I can come on. Sometimes you bring up these topics that I can tell you're not really well versed in,
Sure.
and you just get these. You're like, oh, you're going to talk about the Hive Steam split. Like I was part of.
Mhm.
I'll come on, And
We
this right here,
like
I'm
to be informed.
Yeah.
I run a witness node, a seed node for Hive.
Okay.
I have been for a number of years, and I also am familiar with Matt and his kind of train of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that the only reason if I did have some inside information,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be coming on here right now.
Mm.
So I do not have any inside information.
Awesome.
All I know is like what Matt's vision and goal is, and kind of I've paid attention. I don't know if you guys realize this. R0nd0n is more of like the kind of marketing salesman kind of guy. He's the guy out there pitching stuff and making deals. Matt's the guy that kind of designs these economies. He's the reason why like all this stuff, all the economies of SPS and DEC, the card deflation and all that kind of stuff. That's pretty much all Matt.
Mm.
So Matt, someone, let me just clarify this real quick. Matt's only on once a month now. He's kind of busy. He's doing all this other stuff. So he comes on once a month to give all the relevant stuff for that month. And then he shows up again the next month.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Matt wasn't on the town hall last week. Anyway, these nodes usually, I mean, like if you look at like a Wax node or Ethereum node, they don't take like a ton of CPU horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
They take memory and they take very fast storage. Nodes are about, it's not crypto mining. It's not like you're not trying to do massive computations.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is basically either sending or receiving data.
Okay.
And having all that data on hand and being able to quickly retrieve it either requires like very fast storage or a lot of RAM.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where it's at as far as that goes. I mean, so like a 8 CPU server might be a good deal. It might be something, but honestly, I would hold off on the kind of specs that you're going to need until I wouldn't get anything. I wouldn't rush out and like.
Right.
It could be cheap. It could be expensive. I'm not quite sure yet.
Okay.
It costs me about $50 a month for my Hive witness, but I'm also on Privix, which you can pay in Hive, and it's kind of a premium to do that instead of paying with a credit card or whatever.
I see.
What else? What else was there? There was something else brought up that I really wanted to touch on. Oh, as far as like,
we were talking about sharing you made a kind of cautionary note on people sharing the server. Could you maybe comment, unless you have something else you really want to talk? I'd love to hear your thoughts on why not share between people.
That's exactly. Well, now here's, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but we've got, you got to understand, like you're going to be spending a lot of money. What is it? 2,000 or it's 1,000 in SPS and 500 vouchers to get a license to start off with. That's the cheap ones.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? I can't remember the exact numbers.
It was about $2,000 US is the way. I don't remember how it worked. Jim, do you remember them exactly?
Yeah. So for the first pre-sale, there's 2,000 of them. It's $1,000 in SPS plus 500 vouchers. So as of right now is about $1,000. So 2,000 total.
Okay. So you're going to spend $2,000 on this license, and some people were talking about getting more than one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to go together with a buddy of yours.
Mm-hmm.
and put it all on one server. Well, putting it all on one server means you're putting it all on one account, and then that one account puts its keys on that server. So not only are you going to have to trust your buddy who owns that account, you're going to have to trust their security too, that they're not going to get hacked.
Okay.
And you're going to have to trust them to also start paying you out the payments. Because they could just go at any time. I mean, the number one rule in crypto, ladies and gentlemen, not your keys, not your crypto.
Yep.
Now, somebody said that, well, maybe he'll add some kind of way to delegate these, right? Now, if they did that, then it would be a lot safer. You're still going to have to rely on them to pay you your crypto, but it would be a lot safer because you can just undelegate if they decide not to pay up anymore, and you're out, whatever, a week, a month, or whatever, however long it takes for you to decide that. But I would not think that Matt would do that. And I'll tell you why. He wants this stuff decentralized, and he's going to try to provide the incentives to where, there's as many of these servers as possible to make it as decentralized as possible, to make it as robust and, able to withstand any kind of attacks.
Yeah. So on that note though, Ron, I want to push back and I want to hear your response on it. My thinking is, first of all, I agree that in principle that is obviously been the heart of where the game is grown out of, because look, they've got I think it's $5 or $10 million in the foundation already, and that Aggie and Yaba have keys to, they own it. Like you said earlier, not your key or not your key, you don't have the keys, you don't own the crypto. Right now, Aggie and Yaba have the keys to whatever SPS is in that foundation and other cryptos that have come as a byproduct of Splinterlands facilitating coin exchanges. We have our SPS invested, or they have their SPS invested with certain liquidity pools, and that's garnering a variety of coins that are sitting in that foundation, as I understand. My point is they've held that in escrow with the vision of making it part of the value proposition for SPS holders and decentralization, and even the idea of introducing this whole governance thing. Clearly they do have a heart for that. Decentralization is core to what they're doing. But I want to push back, and I want to hear your response. What about the fact that they are selling some of these, and I think what is it? I forget how many number they're selling. Is it 60,000 nodes that they're selling? It's several thousand anyways. And that's a choice to then invite certain people with deep pockets. It's not necessarily decentralized. That's not a focused effort to get decentralization. That's a focused effort to get people who are interested, which is great. But some interested parties have deep pockets, and maybe they're going to buy. And am I seeing that wrong? Do you think what do you think about that?
So there is 60,000. You're correct about that. And as far as it goes, yes, they're expensive. What it's going to do is it's going to make the people who are very heavily invested in SPS and the future of SPS be the ones who get these licenses. But here, even on top of that, let's just say that there's a bunch of high-moneyed interests that really don't have the best interest of Splinterlands in mind.
Yep.
They're not going to be the only ones that involved in this equation. You've also just got people who are voting for the witnesses, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a balance between these license owners and the man, you're just getting your butt kicked.
Yeah.
I feel your pain, man. First day of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, there's going to be a balance between these license holders and the people who are voted in by the community staking SPS.
Exactly.
And so there is a balance there, and there, that way, there is kind of this middle ground. But honestly, though, you got to think of everything in incentives. People, I don't know. This is how I understand the world, because I follow a particular kind of very, very capitalist, I guess, anarcho-capitalist kind of philosophy of understanding incentives and understanding human action and how you properly align these incentives to get people to act in their own self-interest and benefit everybody else.
Yep.
And whenever you put these kind of incentives of, okay, well, if you want SPS to go up, spend this much, and you get, it like the way he structures this. I'm explaining this really badly, but the way this is all structured can be overcome. But it can be overcome by big moneyed interest probably.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, they're just going to be they're going to spend all this money and invest.
Did I lose you? Jim, can you hear me?
I got you.
Ron, can you hear me? I think we lost you, Ron.
Did his mic die?
Hazel, I can't come there right now, babe. Come here. Sorry, Jim.
Oh,
Ron,
I lost you guys.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, where was I at?
we were talking about how big money interests are a concern, but not a deep concern because of the efforts outside of that. Like for instance, with our ability to vote in validators as well.
Oh, it's been that long. Okay, I've just been going.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw you talking on the stream, and I'm like, oh, I don't hear him talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you got to understand, you're not going to make your money back right away. You're going to buy a license, and it's going to slowly, pay out for a while before you even get your initial investment back, if ever, because there's no guarantees of anything. But there's going to be if you do get paid back and everything goes perfectly, it's still going to take a while.
Yep.
So what you're saying is like these big money interests are going to spend all sorts of money to put into this to crash the currency that they're heavily invested in, and aren't going to make a return, which isn't out of the realm of possibilities, but it is definitely something that I wouldn't count on, just because of how many people are really into this game and are going to be just how many people are in this game who are going to really invest in this stuff.
Sure.
So
yeah, I'm with you. I do not think that big money interests are going to come in and do anything nefarious. I think people who love this game, who have millions of dollars, are going to be eager to buy multiple units. Like, Kush, the guy, bought 17,000 Chaos Legion packs by himself in pre-sale, which is when they cost $20 a pack. There are people out there that will buy. I bet there'll be people that'll buy 1,000 of these servers if they can. Not servers, the Validator Nodes. And I'm not saying that from the perspective of that there's some sort of nefarious component. I'm just speaking, like you said earlier, I look at this from like there's a free market desire to receive profit for effort. And there are people out there that are going to recognize the smart people, anyone paying attention really, I think is going to see this as a very significant opportunity. And so I just think if the vision was entirely concerned around, this is me, I guess I'm being a little critical of Splinterlands, but I don't really think it's very critical. I think it's just being fair. I think if decentralization was the only goal, then they would just literally leave it up to voting. But because then the SPS holders, who are presumably people who like the game and who have accumulated an asset because they like the game, can then express that vote and apply that to to choose, very just like you're a witness on Hive. So you've been elected into that. But I don't.
What do you mean by only by voting? Because as far as I understand it, they are going to be, that is going to be it. I mean, obviously within reason. If the SPS voters vote for magical unicorns, that literally can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it doesn't matter about the voting. Like, you just can't make magical unicorns. I mean, I guess you can make a sacred unicorn or something. I don't know, but I'm not. They're within reason. It has to be done, be able to be done, and it has to have enough funding to do it. But other than that, it's by voting. What else? Like, what are you talking about?
I'm talking like the 60,000 validators that are being sold, right? So we have two different. We're gonna have. Correct me if I'm missing something, but as far as I understand, we're gonna have two different paths to become a validator. One, you buy your node, and two, you get elected into that through the through people's votes. True?
For a validator, yes.
Yes. So my point is that the 60,000 or the nodes that are being sold, the validator nodes that are being sold, is one set of interests that is not decentralized in focus. The focus there is profit. Splinterlands is selling, and it's not actually profit because it is indirect profit because the money is getting burnt, or
It's an investment. Yeah.
it's
so
being
profit.
burnt, or it's being put into that escrow. That escrow is not the right word. There's the fund, the foundation,
The DAO.
the DAO, which is an indirect profit to the game because it's an incentive that's gonna fold into the value of SPS, which is a reason to then be involved in the game and to buy all kinds of assets in the game. So do you see what I mean? Like there's that's one path to get into nodes, and the other is to just be a voice in the space like you are on Hive, I guess, and people are throwing their Hive behind you. Correct?
Correct. But me as a voice, it doesn't matter if I'm the top witness or last place witness. I'm only one voice that, as far as it goes, I'm trying to figure out where you mean with the votes and stuff. Cause like being a validator doesn't give you a vote. An SPS stakeholder gives you a vote, and your stake is how big your vote is. So if you got 1,000 SPS staked, then you've got a 1,000 SPS stake vote.
I know. I know.
And
And
a guy with 100,000. Okay, so 100,000 staked vote is going to have 100 times your vote.
Yes, I agree. So, but I feel like we're at some level we're talking past each other because I'm not seeing how, because my point of pushback on you has been that you seem to think that the act of selling nodes is going to increase the decentralization of the process. I don't see how that is true. First of all, am I characterizing your position rightly? Are you arguing that the selling of nodes is adding to the decentralization?
Yes, more nodes, more decentralized.
But
Absolutely.
how is it more nodes? Do you know what I mean? Like, so if we did it like Hive does it, which Hive doesn't sell nodes, right?
They pay their witnesses.
Yes, they pay their witnesses, but that's different. So you've got 50. I forget how many Hive uses, but those are people that came forward and said, I would like to represent this community, and if you guys think I would do a good job at it, then you can vote for me using your Hive, just like SPS can and will do in the future. Correct?
So you got to understand, and this is from what I am guessing is Matt's perspective, because he is also a witness.
Yeah.
He's been a witness longer than I have. So has R0nd0n. And both of these guys have been through like all the stuff that I brought up last time I came on your show with the the Hive takeover and everything.
Yeah.
And yes, Hive does pay their witnesses, but right now there's very few that kind of call the shots, and I think that's what all this is about. They wanted to go with the hybrid approach.
Okay.
So the 50 or whatever, I don't remember exactly what it is, that are kind of like, probably like controlling forks or doing different things that are voted in by the stakeholders, is one part. But then they wanted to go with the hybrid part in order to fully kind of flesh out some of the problems that Hive does seem to have.
Okay, that actually, you said something there that helps me understand something that as a non-witness and probably a lot of people aren't going to properly understand until now. The idea that like bringing in like, so witnesses is one thing, but you've got there's certain even in that there's certain like individuals that are going to rise to the top of that aren't necessarily going to be the ones, like they're not necessarily all going to be the ones that you would want to have access to. It's like this new hybrid is opening a door for kind of a multiplicity or like different options, and that's what they want to have access to. Is that what you're saying? Like it's gonna open the doors for certain new types of witnesses, or what we are going to call validators, that wouldn't necessarily have a kick at the can under the Hive model. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. So with Hive, it seems to be about 150 to 200 witnesses
Okay.
are there at any given point in time.
Okay.
And one of the things about that is if you want to go start a witness right now, let's say you want to be a Hive witness, and you get out there and you get everybody here in this chat right now to vote for your witness, and some of them are pretty good sized votes, but you're going to still be probably ranked like 160 to start off with after you get all those votes, which means you're actually going to be paying more for a server than you actually make in Hive.
Gotcha.
Being a witness. And so like there becomes a point where it's just there's only so many witnesses that are on there, and then after that it just falls off to where you know, which for so long, you know, it's actually worked out pretty well. But you know, Matt's and I'm actually not quite sure. If you listen to him on the town hall, he said like they looked at how other blockchains are doing it too, and these licenses for node validation seems to work out really well. And I'm not quite sure which blockchains he was referring to. But you know, he's looked at it from the inside of Hive. You know, that's definitely like on the forefront of his perspective.
Yeah.
But also he's looked at it from other chains and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, honestly, I mean, just the way he's doing it and went about it and how he's thought it through, you can if you listen back to like him talking about who was it that was talking? Well, it wasn't Matt, was it? I don't know. Maybe it was somebody else that I'm thinking of that was talking about it. But anyway, you know, if you listen back, you know, and just try to understand like how the perspective of the people that are handling this and how well, or how thoroughly they've thought about this, it's really quite.
You feel that there's, I get the feeling you think I have concerns or doubts. I have zero concerns or doubts.
No,
okay.
I don't think that at all. But I do think that
good.
Some of the details might be a little fuzzy for you.
That's true. That's
what I'm here for.
That's true, and I appreciate that, Ron, for sure. I just wanted to be crystal clear because I have such confidence in what Yaba and what Aggie are doing and whatever the team is doing, because it's more than just them now, and there's so many voices, and it seems like everybody's rowing in the same direction, which is super encouraging and exciting, because like I'm a pretty big stakeholder in the game and I love it, and I would like to be one of the people who probably, I don't know if this is going to happen, but I'd like to be one of the people who have multiple of the nodes, and I don't know that I even understand how to run it, but I will try to learn, and if I can't, I believe that this game is going to grow into such an amazing place that even holding the node itself, as Jim has pointed out in previous conversations, is going to be an exciting opportunity, because again, it's an NFT that you can liquidate, put in the hands of somebody else at a later date. And with 2,000 are selling for $2,000, and then the next tranche is more. And and the way what that's doing with vouchers, man, the whole thing is super exciting to me. And if anybody got the impression, I hear you, Ron, you're not here saying that, but if anybody got the impression that I was casting doubt on the way they've done it, I said yesterday in like a 30-minute video, I really think it's brilliant. I just am trying to like think through how the incentive is going to work, and I appreciate you coming on to kind of bounce ideas on that with me, because I want to get it. I want to be able to not only get it but then convey it. So thank you very much for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to leave you with one thing about one of the most brilliant things about all this that kind of goes overlooked, I would say. He put all the prices. So it's not a set amount of SPS to buy the first tranche or the second tranche.
Yeah.
It's $1,000 of SPS,
Yeah.
$3,000 of SPS. It's pegged to the USD value.
I know. So cool.
That right there is going to make it. It's going to make the price go. I mean, I don't really know how else it's going to do to it. I mean, it's going to be a huge burn mechanism. And like it says right there in the post, that this is going to be like at the current prices when this post was written. Yeah, this is over $1 billion worth of SPS that would be burnt.
And but, you go on. Yeah.
Well, there's not $1 billion worth of SPS to be burnt.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even exist. It's many times over the market, the market cap.
Yeah. Yeah, and as the and then it's, but the fact that it's, if it was $1,000 paid in SPS, for anybody that's kind of not following, if it was $1,000 paid in SPS, which it's not, it's $1,000 of SPS, right? Like, or hang on, am I saying that right? There's a difference
You're saying
between
the same thing twice.
yeah,
It's the same thing.
yeah, it said the same thing twice. There's you can pay it like based on the you could
Instead
pay,
of 1,000 SPS,
yes,
10,000 SPS, like let's just say they take it, SPS is 10 cents at the time of this.
that's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, so instead of saying 10,000 SPS to get $1,000, he just said $1,000 worth of SPS.
Yes. Which that's what I was trying to get at. Like it's not a number of SPS, it's a value of SPS. And that's a different equation, because it's interesting, because if, for instance, FPS bled out, like if the price went down during a bear market, it's conceivable that this mechanism would allow a burn of even more of these tokens, because if you need to pay 1,000, if you needed to pay, for instance, 2,000, or what is it? It's $1,000 in the first tranche, so that's roughly 10,000. No, it's about, I guess, probably 8,000 SPS or something like that. I think, if I'm doing my math quickly and correctly, whatever it is, that would be the price at that $1,000 mark at that time, because of the price of SPS. But if SPS went to 4 cents in a bear market, it would become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to buy these. But that's not what's happening. It's planned in a way where it's set on that USD value, which is great, because it's actually going to make it's going to, I think that's a positive thing for how they will flow out, how they'll be sold, as opposed to, they're not going to spike. They're just going to be this steady progression of sale. And that's a good thing, because of what's happening with the vouchers and how they're scaling up from they're being accepted at $3, and I think it's $5, and so on and so forth, to try and almost undergird, I think, all of the game assets, not just SPS. And I think that's why I was saying yesterday, I think it's brilliant.
Absolutely. I got to go watch that video of yours. I've been a little bit too busy to catch up on all the stuff that I like to watch.
Me too. Me too.
But yeah, like just like Cryptomancer said in the chat, there's no mandate that all 60,000 nodes would sell, and like quite literally, they can't sell at the beginning.
Yeah,
that can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if SPS starts climbing in price,
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying, though, if the SPS dumps, that it's going to be a burn mechanism. Actually, I think it's the opposite. As SPS price starts going up, it's going to create more deflationary pressure. It's going to cause more supply problems, too, because staking is highly incentivized.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to have to balance between staking or unstaking to buy nodes to get more to stake. And this is going to be a really interesting game, how this all plays out. But yeah, as SPS price goes up, that means it's more, then the next tranche is now profitable to buy into to make some money for the licenses.
Yeah.
But then when they do that, they're going to burn a bunch, USD value worth of SPS to buy those, which then is going to decrease the supply. Yeah. And with the price going up and the supply going down, I mean, it's going to find an equilibrium at some point. Yeah. And and then it might have these little like different news and different amounts of players coming in and different things that happen. Maybe some different things get voted on and the DAO pays out. It's a really good thing for the community. Yeah. And, and it causes, more people to get into SPS and more people to, there's a lot of, this is very complex, and that actually is what makes it so brilliant.
Totally. Yeah. I think what I was, well, I won't try and rehash that, but I think like the vouchers, I think it's amazing, because I think people have constantly been saying, Splinterlands has constantly been saying you're going to want these vouchers, and people have constantly been selling them for like less and less, and then some news breaks and the voucher price spikes. But this is now like a scaled, predictable appreciation one form of appreciation on the value proposition of vouchers, because the trade-in value for the cost of the validator node goes up on the voucher, and so it's totally, I don't know if it's going to be perfect. But it's the whole mechanism, the plan to me seems really deliberate in terms of building value into the in-game assets, both in burning SPS and in some part of the SPS cost falling into that foundation, that DAO, which is itself a reason why you would want to hold SPS and should be an upward price force on SPS, and then all that stuff on the voucher. So it's like, yeah, the whole thing is amazing. And I mean, I'll count myself lucky if I can get any. I do agree with what I've heard that it will probably sell rapidly. 2,000 is not a lot, and there's so much excitement. I just really think that it's going to go real quick.
Absolutely. What do you think about it, Jim?
I mean, once you watch that video from yesterday, yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for it. The only thing I was telling Dwayne that I don't like is that we have to wait like 5 months in order to start utilizing these, I believe.
You know, I think it's deliberate.
Yeah.
To be, you know, they didn't put it as a high priority. It's been something that's been worked on, but it's not a high priority because of I don't think they wanted to do this during the airdrop.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
Which I completely get.
But you guys understand too, the airdrop's coming to an end.
I believe
The
August.
What's that?
I said I believe it ends in August, right? Start of August.
I believe in July. I did the math the other day. I counted up the days. It was like 104 days, and I counted
100,
it up.
102 more days.
Yeah, so I think I pegged it at like July 7th or 17th. I don't know. I'm going off memory here.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there.
I did the math the other day, and yeah, it's somewhere in July. And which makes, I mean, that's pretty interesting. The you know, in July, all the free airdrop money is now gone.
Yeah.
All that supply that's being pouring in. Now, you guys got to understand, any good token does this. They distribute the token to as many people as they possibly can, and they try to target that to people who are active in their ecosystem. And so, doing it this way, it makes the price go down. It always does. You're giving away free money to people that they can turn around and sell and buy groceries or buy, you know, get a fancy new controller for their Xbox or whatever, you know. But then the money dries up. And all of a sudden, the free money is now gone. And the people who are smart and realized what's going on during these distribution phases is always the cheapest place to sell. Like, you never really want to sell at that place. Because that's always the cheapest place to sell. Now, once the distribution phase ends, the supply is going to dry up to a bit. There's still going to be inflation. And honestly, the inflation is going to be quite high for the first 5 years, I believe. Isn't that right? I'm just going off memory.
Yeah, it said that there was going to be, on SPS you're talking about?
Yeah, SPS inflation, I believe, for the first 5 years is pretty high. Yeah,
I don't remember. It goes, to my recollection from the SPS 2022 roadmap or whatever it was going to go down because there's a bunch of printing that's happening right now to go in the hands of the pre-sale, like the private sales that were promised when SPS launched, that are coming to an end. At the same time, you just mentioned the SPS that's coming to an end from the airdrop. So there's a lot of like reducing of new supply, but there's going to be new types of supply coming online. Like I've heard, and I don't know this for sure, but we're going to get it. I think we're going to get SPS. Well, we are going to get it on ranked battles. I think we're going to get it on brawls. So there's going to be new types of ways, and then there'll be some paid out through these validator nodes. So there'll be new types, but they're apparently not going to be a replacement. They're not going to be equal to what we're losing, which is like a great thing for price, I would say.
Absolutely. So I'm just looking at sps.splinterlands.com. And yeah, that's basically where all this is kind of, you know, all the different, we've got a certain percentage that goes to the team, 9% of the total. There is 6% 5% going to a private sale. The foundation gets 10%. Airdrop is going to be 13%.
Yeah.
Play to earn. So the stuff that you were just talking about in tournaments and
Yeah.
and ranked battles and in brawls, that's 30%. And then the other 30% goes to staking, LP, and Oracle rewards. So that's the nodes we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Real quick, just looked at the calendar, putting in random numbers, blah, blah, blah. It should end July 26th.
Okay.
July 26th. Okay.
Gonna be
I thought there
soon.
was a 7 in there.
Gonna be soon. This. Oh, am I gonna
Because
win?
it's 14, pretty much 14 and a half weeks.
Wow. This match, I pulled it while you guys were chatting. This match is like, I'm coming from behind in a heroic way. And it's the 10E striker to the rescue. His dodge was, he dodged 2 or 3 times in the first position and saved the day.
Easy game, huh?
Yeah. Daily quest, go. Okay, we got to get into our...
Daily quest during that whole conversation.
What's that?
You just finished the daily quest during that whole conversation.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. That's why you're a pro, man.
Yeah.
How we can focus on that.
Yeah, that's right. Let's get into the end of season rewards. I got to tell. Well, hang on. We'll open this daily quest, and oh man, did they? I want to talk about. I'm opening a daily quest. I didn't see the part of the town hall that specifically apparently addressed that they're changing the rewards. So I looked at it. Developer note: rank rewards are changing. Goal is to have this release early next month. We want to motivate players to play more. Daily quests are going away. And they will be replaced by focus points, which sound, it sounds clear. It's the more you play, the more you win, and there'll be diminishing returns. So that's really cool. And I think that's probably going to be a nice way to, in combination with what I heard they were going to try and do around the starter set and the ghost cards and access to that. And maybe you can only play them so many times. It sounds like a thoughtful way to approach bot farming, and allow players to really, because players are going to play X amount of hours. Bots can play forever. This sounds like an interesting way, and maybe a way to get more and more retention on the title, as opposed to just because usually I would, like, on an average day, I'll come in and play a half an hour and I'm done. I don't need to play for 3 or 4 hours. But if I could play for 3 or 4 hours and more, maybe I would. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. People, that's what they've noticed is people just kind of grind out their dailies and then stop.
Yeah.
And so the whole point of that is like they would rather people play more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to get people to play more, you have to structure that differently.
Yeah.
So it's going to work with quest potions.
Are they dead?
Quest potions have been dead for a long time, I thought.
I think
you can still buy them.
I haven't.
What? I thought they've been taken off the market.
Let's see,
you
potions.
Can still buy them?
Quest
potions are still there.
Buy one. Just buy one to see if it works.
750 DEC. That's okay. Fine.
Particularly since it's almost pegged, it's not that bad of an idea.
Yeah, you're right. So 750 DEC is probably at this price like $1. Is it $1? $1.25?
It's like 60% more than whatever the 750 would be.
So we have one.
I can't believe I just talked you into that. You're just like, okay, I'll do that.
I'm sitting on a fair amount of somebody. Actually, when the stream started, somebody just sent me like 300 DC to say like thank you. So they subsidized my quest.
Oh, that's awesome.
My quest potion.
Did you see that link I put in the stream stuff about Hive.live or Hive Live something?
No.
Oh man, so you can actually, which I don't think it works for in-game, but if somebody sends you Hive Engine tokens, you can have like custom alerts pop up on your screen.
Oh, cool! That's super rad. I definitely want to do that.
So yeah, like I don't know if I put that in the stream assets.
Yeah. This is Easter, Ron. This is Easter for me, and like I work at a church now, so like this whole week, in fact, the last 2 weeks have been wild, just planning and events and like all kinds of different things. So, but next week it's behind me, and I have a 4-day work week. So maybe I can dive into that on Monday and look into the Discord.
Awesome.
Plus,
I'll put a link out here in the chat for anybody else that wants to check it out because it is pretty cool. It's a Hive centric Hive centric tip thing.
Look at
So real quick, going back to the quest potion thing, how is that going to work with focus points?
so
No idea.
No idea.
yeah.
Okay.
Do we even really know how the focus points will pay out? Like maybe you'll get 5 at a time, because they did say in a recent town hall that they're gonna give you more. They want to see a lot more chests. Like I guess they're not going to be loot chests exactly. They're going to be something entirely different or slightly different, but they want us to have more opportunities to open rather than just getting one and then getting like 1 credit in it. Maybe more, but like not as significant rewards coming from them, but even still just more. That's what they said that like 2 or 3 town halls ago.
That's what I heard. I don't know if the chests are going to change or not. I didn't know that, but I did hear the part about wanting to actually reward more, and that's something too with the modern versus wild format.
Yeah.
Is I mean everything's actually gearing up to. They're trying to make sure that bots can't exploit it, and if they can fix that, they can actually just reward people more. So that's what their main intention has been. If there is an exploit, if there is a way around the system and kind of like people will water flows in the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So once that exploit is found and other people see it happening, then all of a sudden everybody starts doing it. So if they raise rewards during that kind of stuff happening, then it doesn't really it's just going to wreck the game economy.
Yeah, there's so much. This is such a new. The crazy thing about Splinterlands that really, in my mind, sets it apart from other games is that the economy is so successful. Is it perfect? No economy is perfect because people are incentivized to try and find gimmicks to get their own, to see their own benefit, and that's a thought and a concern that developers are constantly looking at, and our developers in this game are no exception. They've done different things along the way to try and tweak what's gone on with the bots. Not because they don't want bots, because really, who cares if there's bots? In fact, this idea that bots are just generally bad is not thought out. It's like they are essentially cheap labor that generate tons of cards, which end up on the market, which sell those cards for cheap. And everybody who says they want Splinterlands cards to play the game should be grateful, because the cards would be more expensive if it was just human labor acquiring those things. And so there's such nuance required to navigate an economy. And look at America, look at Canada. Our governments can't handle this, but Splinterlands is doing a pretty darn good job. And it's all because of scarcity and rarity. Like you can't have infinite anything. Like infinite, well, DEC is fine because it's like it's like there's all kinds of sinks for it. Like your guild, and there's guild expansions coming, which will be exciting. But mostly, even SPS has a limit. Even all these cards we have a limit. Land has a limit. All these limits end up making it. That's, I think, what makes the economy work, and that's why I think at one point, mankind always used gold, we used precious metals, because we understood scarcity was important within a currency.
I'm with you there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm exactly with you there. Yeah.
Could we get a gambling system in Splinterlands for like dumping DEC? Like put 500 DEC on black at a roulette table?
Oh.
You're probably not. You could probably do that with some other site, like not on Splinterlands.com. But I don't think they want to get into all that. That's like getting licenses and KYCing everybody, and I mean that's a full on kind of like adventure. Yeah,
that would be a whole enterprise. There's Whiskey Business says in the comments, he says !gamble, like as if it's just gonna pop up a gamble bot. DEC will go. Yeah,
you guys send me 500 DEC. We'll roll to see if we can double your money.
Just purposely avoid raven flags like gambling. Yeah. So Cryptomancer says they're specifically trying to sidestep and avoid gambling related stuff. Makes sense. The game is targeting a certain audience, and even we were talking about the art the other day, Jim. Remember, it's like lot of it is focused on trying to make it, you know, family friend, maybe not family friendly, but not trying to cast aside a certain, like a youthful audience that might be deterred or taken away from a game because of its goriness. This has got cool art, but it's also not, it doesn't go there.
So I know the last time Ron was on here, or maybe it was on my stream, I'm not too sure. I was asking him, like, you know, because I was planning on opening up a gaming store, would I be able to like sell stuff to people inside the store and blah blah blah. And he was like, yeah, it's our stuff, you know. And then I was like, well, now that I'm thinking about it, can we just set up like a third party website that allows us to gamble on with DEC or NFT assets
sure you
in the
could.
game?
Yeah, that's what I said. Absolutely. I mean, if you have all the legalities figured out,
Yeah.
DEC is just one token of a million that you can use. I mean, there's Bitcoin
Wow.
sites. There's you know,
All right,
there's
guys, let's make it happen.
Yeah, you can if you got all the legalities figured out or whatever you want to do. If you got the figure, you know, if you got your own net covered, yeah, you can use whatever currency, right? I mean, there is Bitcoin. Bitcoin poker places, for instance, or at least there used to be. I don't know. It might not be anymore because it's just so much gas fees to get into that. But
yeah, this will definitely have to be legal. Wink.
Jim, you're not pulling me down with you. I don't know what he's talking about, authorities.
I'm just memeing, guys. I swear, I'm just memeing.
just do it in Minecraft.
Yeah.
In Minecraft.
So look at this daily quest. Hang on, daily quest 20 chests. I want to see how much chests are worth at right now because I just spent 750 DC to buy 5 chests. Look, chests are worth about 100 DEC, 110 DEC, and I just spent 750 DEC to get that one quest potion. So even if they're working as they used to work, the quest potions used to give you 5 extra chests. It's almost certainly not mathematically a sound purchase.
Well, yeah, I was more so wondering how it's going to work. Say like you bought 500 right now.
Yep.
Going into the future when focus points are a thing and they give you a chest.
Yeah.
Is Flesh Potion now going to give you 5 chests on top of that?
I understand your question, and I don't think there's any way to answer it right now because they probably haven't. First of all, I bet there's not a lot of quest potions that are currently left out there. Like I don't know this to be true, but most people for months have been talking about how that you don't want to buy those. You can't. They've become non-functional. I bet we could look at it over here. Maybe we.
I think it's on Peak Monsters.
Explore top holders. I bet there's a function for. Maybe. What's it called again? Gold potion quest potions.
Quest potion, there it is.
It'll take.
I guess I probably should have prefaced that when I said to buy it that was not financial advice.
my lawyer is going to be in touch, Ron.
I'm not a financial advisor, and as you can see, if you listen to me, you might just lose.
Yeah, no, it's
like almost 4 times your investment.
Oh, it's man, I've pissed away a lot more than 75 cents or whatever that was. Oh, look at this. Blockchain AF has 728. So there's a few holders who have a lot of them. But then like 100 is not really all that much. I mean, you could get through that in, 3 months. You could get through that if you're a diligent player. So there's still quite a few out there, I would say. Who knows? Maybe they will make them that juicy or whatever, but I would argue that even that is clearly not that big a deal right now because of the value of the cards that are inside them. I don't know. We'll see. But
I'm
Jim,
gonna get off here. I'm
okay.
gonna let you guys finish this. Thank you so much for having me on.
Ron, I appreciate you. Thank you, my dude.
Appreciate you too.
Later,
guys.
See you.
Bye for now.